the skyline of Atlanta, Georgia, and the stretch drive of the regular season. With about 12 games to go, the surprising Chicago Bulls taking the court, as well as the Atlanta Hawks. And tonight, the NBA on TNT is presented by the United States Marine Corps. The Bulls tied with the Celtics for #1 in the East against the Atlanta Hawks right now in the 5th position. And welcome everyone to Phillips Arena. I'm Dick Stockton along with the czar Mike Fratello. And Mike, the Bulls continue to amaze, don't they?
Two things have happened with this Bulls team. Significant additions to the roster to make it one of the deepest teams in the NBA. And then perhaps maybe most importantly, they hired a guy named Tom Thibodeau who came in with a defensive mindset. It's a proven one. He was the assistant in Boston. They won a world championship using it. They're using it here in Chicago. And
very effectively indeed. And now let's take a look at tonight's starting lineups. And of course the Bulls, as they have been paced all season by their brilliant guard Derrick Rose and the balance of the Atlanta Hawks. In fact, in the March Madness mood, 7 of the 10 starters in this game have played in the Final Four. And we're set to go. This is the rubber match of the season series. Each team has won a game on their own home court. And there is Kirk Heinrich, who used to play with the Bulls. And we're ready to go as the officials tonight are Scott Foster, Derek Collins, and John Goebbels. Here in Atlanta, we are underway, and the tip controlled by Chicago. And we're going to...
They stole that one on the way up. Yes, they did. That's why they're going to
go over. Hawks ball. It'll be the Hawks ball. So the Bulls interfering with the opening tip, which of course Tom Thibodeau upset very early in this game.
What he's upset about is the toss wasn't high enough. He's, throw the ball up high enough so they can jump for it.
Joe Johnson off the screen. Good balance by the Hawks, who have struggled as of late. They have lost 6 of their last 9. Noah guarding Johnson with 6 on the shot clock. Here's Josh Smith from outside. And the rebound by Rose. The Bulls have won 9 of their last 10 games, and last night scored 132 points in beating the Kings by 40 points. That was the season's high for them. They had the most assists they had all year long and were brilliant from 3-point range. Here's the pick and roll into Noah, taken away. And a good play. Al Horford. Johnson with a runner in the lane, and the first points of the game belong to the Hawks.
Looks to me like the plan is let's attack this Bulls defense before they can get set up, push it down in transition, see if we can get high percentage shots that way.
Bulls second in scoring defense, #1 in field goal defense. And the trademark of this team is Luol Deng with the lay-in. And after Rose, Deng has to be the MVP of this particular team. Ties the score.
You have a guy like Deng who finally has had a healthy season, playing his best basketball, and Tom Thibodeau will tell you, Derrick Rose may be the MVP, but that might be the glue to their team.
And hitting the jumper, Al Horford. Al Horford, along with Joakim Noah, both members of the Florida Gators who won back-to-back NCAA championships. Florida will be playing Thursday on TBS as Boozer back in the lineup after missing 5 games with a hook shot, and they need him back for the low post play.
And Josh Smith is a great shot blocker, but he can't stay behind Carlos Boozer. That big wide body, big trunk he's got down low. You can't stay behind him. Even with your shot blocking ability, he's going to pin you and shoot a 3-foot jump hook.
3 on the shot clock, and Johnson just gets it off in time.
I think we heard our studio guys, C. Webb, Brent Barry, talking about the offensive efficiency when people complained a year ago that it was just a bunch of isolations under Mike Woodson. Now, all of a sudden, Larry Drew tries to implement a movement type of offense, and what happens, their efficiency rating goes way, way down.
Boozer is fouled by Josh Smith. That's the first foul of the game.
That's the problem if you get caught behind Boozer, because he's very good around the rim. He's one of the few guys in the NBA that loves playing down there in the low post area.
Yet the Bulls, who lost to Noah for 30 games and the Boozer for 20, really did not lose a step. Boozer can't put it up on the low post. His turnaround off the mark.
Now, he had to shoot that one. The reason was he knew he was in the lane. He had to worry about 3 seconds. He knows that was a bad shot, but he had to take it.
Jumper missed outside by Marvin Williams. Hawks have to make sure they don't become too much of a jump shooting team. Inside to Noah. And Noah puts it in. A good move by Noah over Williams. And the Bulls up by 2.
Trying to use their beef and size inside against the Atlanta Hawks, who do have problems with bigger teams.
Bulls doing a good job of preventing the entry pass inside. Here's Williams. And Noah taps it into the hands of Boozer. Bulls lead at 6-4 early on. Chicago looking for the home court advantage, which would come throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs if they are the #1 seed. And at 31-4 at home, you can understand why. Here's Rose with a 3, his first shot of the game. A 3-pointer, and the Bulls are up by 5.
One of the great examples of one of the young stars in our league who took time out to play with Team USA in the World Championships, helped to win that gold medal for the United States, and they've come back and played simply outstanding basketball in the NBA.
Josh Smith from Heinrich ends a 7-0 early Chicago run with 4 minutes gone by in the first.
Interesting what Coach Larry Drew told us about Heinrich. Even though he's new, only been here 10, 12 games, he wants him to put his stamp on his team as far as leadership goes, because he knows he's mentally tough.
Rose works his way in, and it's tipped in by Noah. So Joakim Noah, and the Bulls were 22-8 when Noah missed his 30 games due to a torn thumb ligament.
Noah's missed games. Boozer, we see Heinrich go down the lane with the left hand. Follow up that time on the inside by Al Horford. Getting back to what I was saying, Boozer also missed significant time, but why have they been able to stay in the position they're in? Because the solid team defense that Thibodeau keeps preaching.
And Kurt Thomas coming off the bench, Taj Gibson and a lot of the others. This is a deep team.
See Heinrich down the lane, tries the lefty scoop, a little bit of help from Al Horford.
The Hawks by 8, and right now let's check in with Cheryl Miller. Cheryl.
Thanks a lot, guys. Well, you've already mentioned that Luol Deng is having a terrific season. Remember, it wasn't that long ago where he was the centerpiece of the Kobe Bryant trade. Now, he says he's had to really battle back from a lot of injuries, and at times he was being labeled soft for not playing hurt. Well, he credits, obviously, this season to being healthy and being in a great team system, guys.
And, of course, the three-point shot has really been there for Deng, who then lays it in to give the Bulls again a 5-point lead. They have hit 6 of their first 8 from the field.
I like Cheryl's Lois Lane glasses that she's wearing. Superman cannot be far away.
I think he's in the 4th row. Smith, as the Bulls falter defensively inside, and Heinrich already with 2 neat passes inside. And not only that, you talk about Heinrich's leadership, his defensive play have boosted the Hawks as well since coming over from the Wizards. 8 on the shot clock. Williams defending Deng. Fall away, hitting. Off to a hot start is Luol Deng, who has 6 points. Chicago again by 5.
Got that move right there. Start to drive. Little pullback, step back to get the jumper off. Terrific offensive move that time by Luol Deng.
Horford with a quick shot over Noah, his former teammate. And again, a 3-point lead as the Hawks, who are playing a lot better spirited defense. And that has been an improvement for them this year. 3-point game.
As Chris Webber said in the studio show, Horford is a power forward. He's playing the center position because he has to, but he's so good at the power forward spot. Boozer fouled on his move on the inside. He's capable of going out and making the 18 to 20-foot jump shot, and that's why, you know, he's at a disadvantage many nights when he's playing up against Dwight Howard, Shaquille O'Neal type players, bigger, stronger guys.
Horford committing the foul. He had 31 points and 16 rebounds in the Hawks' win over Chicago. I want to bring you up to date on the upcoming national TV schedule. ESPN tomorrow's coverage begins at 7:30 with a doubleheader. NBA TV on Friday. That all starts at 9:30. And don't forget to go to NBA.com/fan night. Vote now for the matchup you want to see on Tuesday, March 29th. The voting ends tonight at midnight Eastern. ABC, Sunday, April 3rd at 12:30. The Suns and Spurs, Nuggets and Lakers in a pair of Western Conference battles. So the free throws don't fall, and the Bulls still lead by 3.
It's a shame, because if there's one area perhaps that this Bulls team is not good at the foul line, they're 26th in the NBA in free throw shooting.
Williams with 8 on the shot clock, and Deng cutting off the baseline and committing the foul. And Williams hanging in there, and Deng committing the personal. The Chicago Bulls will have 12 games left after this game, 6 at home and 6 on the road. And their big game at home would be against the Celtics, the team that they're trying to edge out. And their one road game that they've got to keep an eye on is at Orlando, as the first free throw is missed.
You mentioned a while ago, Dick, about Atlanta being predominantly a jump shooting team, and one of the areas this shows up in is free throw attempts per game. They're 29th, next to last in the NBA as far as the number of free throw attempts they get per game. They shoot about 20 per game, and that's not enough to get extra points on the board.
No, you got to be aggressive, especially when you get ready to go for the playoffs. But that's the one thing the Hawks have to guard against. Heinrich doing a good job of denying Rose with 9 on the clock, under 5.5 to go in the first quarter. Not a good pass. Rose now has to force it and throws up the air ball, and a shot clock violation. Good job by Heinrich on the deny early.
Look, he's no dummy. He figured it out. If Rose doesn't touch the basketball, I don't have to worry about guarding him off the dribble. And what he did is he denied him long enough so that the shot clock ran down. When Rose finally got the ball back in his hands, there were but 3 seconds left on the 24-second shot. So he had to try to create something.
So the Hawks trying to at least tie it up right now. Williams being fronted by Deng. Joe Johnson out to Horford. Heinrich with a good move against Rose, but he travels.
So that little shuffle right at the end there as Heinrich got down to that low right block and tried to make the pass across. A little shuffle of his feet is what the official called.
Larry Drew, longtime assistant, getting the chance as a head coach of a team that has been in the playoffs lately, last few years. Not winning as many games as they did last year, and right now appear to be set for the 5th spot. 3.5 behind Orlando to move up, and 4 ahead of Philadelphia. So it looks like 5 for them, starting the playoffs on the road in Orlando. Jamal Crawford coming into the game. Rose changes hands and gets the basket. Pretty play and a foul.
And that's what gets the people up on their feet, and that's why he is probably going to be the MVP of this league, because he's spectacular. His dribble moves, his elevation, his ability to hang in the air, shoot off-balance shots, make them and get fouled and go to the free throw line. He's improved so many areas of his game.
No question about it, and Josh Smith picking up his 2nd foul will have to come out of the game, and Zaza Pachulia will check in. So Smith leads, scoring 4 points, and really upset with his 2nd foul.
That's why when coaches come out, you try to figure out part of their game plan. Initially, Tom Thibodeau and the Bulls, what's the first thing they did? They posted up Boozer and tried to put a foul on Josh Smith. Well, that was the first one that they got on him. And then he picks up another one like this, and with 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, he's on the bench.
Derrick Rose is the only NBA player in the top 10 in scoring and assists. Misses the free throw. And the Bulls 0 for 3 from the line. And a 4-point lead with 4.5 to go in the first. Johnson pulling up against Tang.
Switch up there in responsibilities. Instead of Bogans playing Joe Johnson the way they started the game off, now with Crawford in the game, Bogans moves to Crawford, and Deng winds up with Joe Johnson.
While Crawford looking to get on track before the playoffs start as Deng misses outside. Good hustle that time by Taj Gibson, who came in the game. He was a starter most of last year. Rose, tough shot with Al Horford in front of him, and Horford at the other end misses the lay-in, but is fouled on the play. That'll be against Bogans, his first.
And again, we see Atlanta trying to push the ball down the floor. Let's take advantage of our transition opportunities. Try to get back down and get a score before the Bulls can set up that outstanding defense.
Al Horford talking about his team needing more fire and more passion. They beat Detroit in their last outing. Now they have to see how they do against the better teams where they have struggled this year, Mike, as the Hawks are 12-21 against teams that are 500 or better, as Noah comes out of the game replaced by Kurt Thomas.
Dick down the stretch run with 12 games remaining, counting tonight. Only 3 of the remaining 12 are not in playoff contention. So Atlanta has their hands full as far as schedule goes. And you mentioned, in all probability, they're going to be locked into that 5th position. And the way it stands right now, number 4, the first round opponent happens to be the Orlando Magic.
Here is Bogans for 3, and he hits. Bogans, who hit 3 threes in last night's rout of the Kings. And a very valuable starter for Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, Thibodeau likes him because he'll defend. Another reason he likes him, he's shooting over 36% from the three-point line, so he gives him 2 or 3 three-pointers each night out.
Horford off the mark. Petulia with a foul and a foul called inside, as both Gibson and Thomas were underneath. And the foul will be called against Gibson.
Petulia does a lot of the dirty work on the inside. He's a righty who likes to finish with his left hand around the basket. He puts fouls on people. He's not afraid to put it down from the foul line area and take it to the basket. And he's tough and aggressive on the inside. Remember, he played many games as a starter a couple seasons back.
Petulia in his 6th season with the Hawks.
You see the jumper by Horford missing, and who's there to get his hands on it first? Petulia, and then his ability to protect it with the left arm as he tries to shoot the righty jumper.
Makes the free throws to bring the Hawks to within 1. As we approach 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter, Dick Stockton along with the czar Mike Fratello, Cheryl Miller here at Phillips Arena in Atlanta. Here's Rose. Spins away, but here he is again with the follow. No one underneath. And Rose now with 7 points in the game and a 22-19 game out of bounds, last touched by the Hawks.
Yeah, and already Rose with 7 field goal attempts. He's just 3 of 7, but he's such a terrific athlete. He takes it, thinks he's got contact there, misses the initial shot, but guess who comes back up with it? Derrick Rose.
Knowing the character of the guys I played with, and you know, just watching you know, what Coach Thibodeau has done with that team. You know, they're you know, an elite team, and you know, obviously the level that Derrick's playing at, it's unbelievable. And you know, it's one of those things where I'm happy for him, but at the same time, you know, we're competing against him, and you know, we need a big win tonight.
And Rose scored 34 in the Bulls' win over Atlanta on March the 11th last night, playing only 28 minutes, the lowest total he's played all year, because Tom Thibodeau had the luxury of not playing starters other than Deng for a couple of minutes in the final quarter. Foul is on Petulia. There you see the best records this year. No one thought that the Bulls would be this solid at 50-19, tied with the Celtics, leading the East. Spurs have the best record in the NBA. Of course, Tim Duncan is going to be out for a while, getting hurt last night. Kurt Thomas on the top of the key hits the jumper, and again a 5-point edge.
And that's one of the reasons, Kurt Thomas, that they do have the record that they have, because while Noah and Boozer were missing all those games, that was Kurt Thomas that stepped in as the starter and did more than just a solid job for them.
As he has just about everyone. And a block as Gibson blocks Petulia, and the Bulls get it back. 4th in the league in block shots are the Chicago Bulls. Here's Rose with the high arcer, doesn't go.
Well, that may look like an unusual shot that you just saw him take, but he makes that shot. He takes a couple of those every game.
And an offensive foul called as Johnson called for charging, and it goes over to Chicago.
You watch the defense on the inside. It's Taj Gibson, interior defense, protecting the front of the rim, not allowing Petulia to make the layup.
Under 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. And Luol Deng with a head of steam drives in and gets the basket. And the Hawks quickly will push it up. 7-point lead and a loose ball. Biggest lead of the game right now for Chicago.
A different Luol Deng, isn't it?
Oh, no question. And you pointed out the key reason, perhaps. Horford, and a great pass from Pachulia out at the top. 10 points for Al Horford.
That's about as good as it gets offensively. Your low post man is fronted. You throw back to the man at the top of the circle. Low post guy seals. You bounce pass it in.
Nearly a minute to go in the first. Bulls lead by 5. Atlanta just had a brief lead early on. Otherwise, the Bulls have been in front. And here is Rose wending his way in for the layup. Derrick Rose. Brilliant play by Derrick Rose, who is the 6th in the league in scoring and 8th in assists. Pachulia, no basket, foul before the shot. And that'll be on Taj Gibson. It'll be Gibson's second foul. Ronnie Brewer will check into the game for the Bulls. And Bogans goes to the bench. We're in the final minute of the first quarter. Heinrich for 3. Gibson gets position against Pachulia. Bulls are up by 7. Differential about 9 seconds of the 2 clocks. Here is Derrick Rose in the corner. Deng for 3. He's got it. Luol Deng now with his 100th three-point field goal of the year. In his 6 previous seasons, only had 101. So a big step up in that department for him this year.
That's what great penetration will do.
Crawford driving in. Jamal Crawford doesn't get it as time runs out, and that'll do it. That'll end the first quarter, and the Chicago Bulls, who are trying to make it 10 out of 11. 3 for 3 from beyond the arc, 67% shooting, a 10-point edge over the Hawks.
Welcome to Atlanta, where it's time for the Coach's Corner, presented by Ford. With me is Coach Thibodeau. And Coach, you said coming into the game the tempo was going to be a factor. Did you like the pace so far?
I did. I like what we're doing offensively. Defensively, I didn't like the start of the game, but I thought we picked it up as we went along.
Talk about what Derrick Rose has been able to do. He's been very effective, especially against Heinrich, who defensively is pretty decent.
Yeah, no, we're playing at a great pace, and I think when he's attacking, going north and south, not dancing with it, he's getting us great shots, and we got him, get him to continue to do that throughout the game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Luol Deng starts the second quarter scoring now, has 13 points on 6 for 7 shooting. And a solid game by Deng. The Hawks have Heinrich and Jamal Crawford along with Damian Williams into the game for the first time. Zaza Pachulia and Josh Smith, who has 2 fouls, but hits from the corner to answer Deng's basket, and it's a 10-point lead. Interesting that Rose has 5 assists. He has as many as the entire Hawk team in the first quarter.
And we talked about depth of the Bulls last night in their victory. 8 players. We see the finish that time. Gibson, 2-handed dunk. 1 dribble from the foul line. 8 players in double figures last night for Chicago.
Omar Asik starting the second quarter. He had a career-high 14 points last night.
I just had their game last week, Chicago against New Jersey. Asik looked like King Kong. Just tearing down rebounds, dunking over people with 2 hands. Terrific pickup by the Bulls.
Pachulia will go to the line, and the foul is against Asik, who's been another one of the big men off the bench who have contributed. NBA League Pass is now available for the lowest price of the season. To watch the race to the playoffs, log on to NBA.com/League Pass or call your local cable, satellite, or telco provider. Derrick Rose starting the second quarter on the bench, scoring 9 points, 5 assists on 4 for 9 shooting. Pachulia makes both free throws. And the Bulls are up by 10. C.J. Watson out at the point, being guarded by Crawford. And a foul is called as Deng is fouled by Wilkins.
Another player who has learned the technique of swinging the ball up into the arms of the defender. When the defender has his arms out in front of him, we've seen more and more players go to that. Brook Lopez uses it frequently with the nets on the inside, picks up numerous free throw opportunities.
Nice, guys. We got 3 shots.
Wilkins goes out of the game, as does Pachulia. And checking in for the first time is Jason Collins for the Atlanta Hawks. The Bulls have been at full strength for only 19 games this year, which is amazing when you consider there are only 12 left, and they have won 15 and dropped 4. So they've learned how to play without being at full strength, and they're hoping to be healthy. And right now would be facing the 7th-seeded team if the season were to end today. I'll take our word for it, it does not. Deng hits the free throw. Again, a 13-point edge. Biggest lead for Chicago. Quieting the crowd here at Phillips Arena. Collins guarded by Ashiq. Josh Smith against Gibson. Knocked out of bounds, and it's last touched by Atlanta.
So you see what happened to Josh Smith. He makes his move, he gets close to that paint area, and then he fades a little bit because he's concerned about the shot blockers. So he changes his shot rather than going strong, trying to finish hard, and perhaps get to the free throw line.
On the clock. Watson from the baseline found an open space finally. C.J. Watson opens up a 15-point lead for the Bulls.
How good has he been coming off? And you have to feel a little sorry for him because as well as he's played this year, you know that his minutes are going to be limited because of a guy named Rose that plays in front of him.
71% shooting for Chicago, 47 as Crawford misses. And the rebound by Marvin Williams. Loose ball tipped away into the hands of Chicago.
Good block on the inside there. Another block, another change of somebody's shot.
And the ball knocked out of bounds, and it'll still be Bulls ball with 2.5 minutes gone by here in the second. Kyle Korver making his first appearance of the game. Korver, one of the leading three-point shooters in the NBA, hit 4 from downtown last night in the big win over Sacramento. Here is Korver with his first shot. It's good. Coming right in off the bench, Kelvin Porter giving the Bulls a huge lead.
Okay, you just sit here on the bench for about 14 minutes of playing time. I'm going to put you in. The first time you touch the ball, I want you to make a tough jump shot. That's what Kyle Korver does.
Timeout, and right now the Bulls have taken the wind out of the Atlanta Hawks' sails thanks to a 16-4 spurt. Bulls with a big lead, 42-25 over the Atlanta Hawks with a little more than 3 minutes gone by here in the third. These teams played on March 2nd here, and it was a close game, but a huge gap that the Hawks had in that one.
Yeah, they were down by as many as 19 points, Marvin Williams with the jumper. Down 19. You saw a halftime down 17, came back and won that game 83-80 against the Bulls. And that's one that the Bulls still talk about giving that one away.
And of course, the Hawks have been down by 17 already in this game. Here's a cheat, no basket. And they're going to call the foul before he went up with the shot. Here again, the details of this game, of which 50-33 in the first half. And what a change.
And you remember we talked about the poor free throw shooting by the Bulls. Well, certainly hurt them in that game, missing 8 free throws.
And Horford tying a career high with 31. He had 16 boards in that one as well. Korver gets it inside to Ashiq. Good ball movement from Watson to Korver to Ashiq for the basket. Again, 17-point ball.
Great execution that time in the half court by the Bulls. They ran a little curl action for Korver, who loves to shoot that quick jumper. Instead, as soon as he saw the big man step up, he went right back to the screener with the pass.
Josh Smith putting the ball on the floor. Time is running out, and he lays it in.
There you go. That's the way to go to the rim strong. Nobody came that time to challenge. If they did, you're there where you can get fouled, but perhaps get a three-point play. I'm sure Larry Drew likes that one right there by Josh Smith, taking it aggressively to the rim.
We've been talking about the Bulls bench. They're 5 for 5 from the field so far, and that's their first miss, but Gibson cleans up. 6 for 7 now are the Bulls reserves. 46-29. As Chicago builds up a huge first half lead over Atlanta. Again, the shot clock is winding down. Johnson. Tough defense that time. Brewer was in his face. In fact, 2 Bulls were defending. 6 points for Johnson. Horford, who is on the bench right now, the leading scorer for the Hawks with 10. And there is C.J. Watson, who spent his first 3 years with Golden State before joining the Bulls this season.
Pretty good backup, isn't he?
Yes.
Runs the offense. When he's open, he makes an open shot. You don't ask much more. Just defend, and you got the whole thing complete.
And Johnson driving in, loses the ball out of bounds.
Back a look quickly at the execution. Watch as Korver comes around to shoot the ball. The big man steps up 1 second. His big guy goes right to the rim. Korver finds him in their half-court execution. Curl, big man steps up, give it right back. Asik with the finish. Beautiful execution in the half-court by Chicago.
You know, Mike, you were talking about C.J. Watson, how he has to take a back seat to Rose. But if a team wins 50 games and they are battling for #1, I mean, you can accept that because this team is a together team. There's no question about it. And the foul is against Johnson. Joe Johnson's first.
Don't get me wrong. I don't hear any complaints coming out of C.J. Watson. He knows his role. He knows his job. He's happy to be on a team that's won 50 games up to this point in the season.
Heinrich coming back in the game for the Hawks. And Joakim Noah and Carlos Boozer both checking back in for the Bulls. Korver, tough pass. Deng clicks again. Luol Deng with 18 points, leading the way, and the biggest lead for the Bulls now, 19. Deng has hit 8 of 9.
Share the basketball. We heard Tom Thibodeau tell us this team is very unselfish. They really like each other, and they share the basketball.
Boozer got a hand on that, and Smith nowhere to go with it. Bulls clamping down defensively. Smith, 2-point attempt hits. Josh Smith hitting a 2 as the shot clock was winding down.
But you'll live with that defensively. You make them pass the ball that many times, you use up 22 seconds on the 24-second clock. They throw it out to Smith, you'll live with the target.
Watson with a spin move and a reverse layup. C.J. Watson, a brilliant play. Horford back in the game. Williams hitting the jumper, so the Hawks making good on their jump shots right now. 52-35, 5:40 remaining in the first half.
To show you what kind of teammate Derrick Rose is, guy we're talking about, MVP candidate, he just went up to his coach. He was supposed to report in the game, and after Watson made that move, I saw him tell Thibodeau, as Boozer, with the lefty finish, he said to Thibodeau, do you want me to sit back down again and leave CJ out? Just watch him do that. And Tom said, it's your turn, your turn to go in, stay out. Up at the table, they get ready to report him. But that's what Rose wanted to do, leave his teammate out there because he's playing so well.
It doesn't get any better than that team-wise. And here come the Bulls again, who are shooting 75% from the field. Here's Korver for 3. Kyle Korver with the 4th three-point basket of the game for the Bulls. And they've opened up a 57-35 edge with under 5 to go in the first half. Timeout, Atlanta.
There's nothing better, nothing more fun than winning with a team that has a great spirit about them. They know they're in the playoff stretch. They're tied with Boston for first place in the Eastern Conference. Watch this move by C.J. Watson, backwards, up over the top. You see the great finish, and then suddenly in the break, Korver just happens to be behind the three-point line for a triple.
This team is in rhythm. 22-point lead for the Bulls. Last night, the Atlanta Tip-Off Club announced that our own Cheryl Miller received the 2011 Naismith Outstanding Contributor to Basketball Award. The award is given annually to individuals who display character, integrity, and dignity and have contributed to the growth, success, and viability of college basketball. Cheryl displays all of that and more. Broadcast legend Dick Enberg was the men's recipient this year. Congratulations, Cheryl.
You guys got me on that one, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Cheryl.
Thank you, boo-boo.
All right.
Many years of great service to this great game. Josh Smith with 12 points. Rose driving in and scores, just going right by Josh Smith. Passed up the 3 and went in to get the easy 2. And he has 11.
Larry Drew is in a very difficult spot. He's got a lot of things circling around this team, Dick. You have players that are not content with their contracts, feel that their contracts should be renewed, disgruntled because of that. You've got a team that could be sold at any day. When you read certain articles, okay, which report that they're that close to perhaps selling this team and moving it on. And then you've got a team who last year won 53 games and wound up finishing with home court advantage in the playoff. They're not going to win 53 this year. They're not going to have home court advantage. So there's a lot of turbulence that he's dealing with.
Joe Johnson, this is the lay-in, and it's tipped in. It looked as if that was Josh Smith. We'll check and see. It was Joe Johnson who gets the basket. And this is not the way you want to go into the playoffs. And, you know, you're talking about the 5th seeded team. You know, a team that is solidified now and going to open up the playoffs perhaps on the road as Boozer gets the lay-in in Orlando, a team that the Hawks have beaten twice this year. And Atlanta has been an outstanding road team in its own right. Cheryl?
Well, I spoke to Jamal Crawford before the game about his contract situation, just to follow up on what you guys were saying. He said, yeah, Cheryl, to be honest, it did bother me during the preseason. As you see tonight, 0 points in 10 minutes. But he said once the season started, it was out of his control. But I kept asking him, what is the problem with this team? Can you pinpoint it? And he says, Cheryl, it's a very scary situation. We could either go on a roll and roll in with momentum to the playoffs, or we could go in the other direction. Excuse me.
They are on a tightrope. There's no question about that, Cheryl.
And Dick, another factor, their general manager, Rick Sun, his contract is up this year, and he's in a state of limbo. Like, is he going to be back? I mean, this guy slowly has helped build his team into a 53-win team last year.
Deng missing the 3. Marvin Williams, foul coming up court by Noah. So not a good scenario for the Atlanta Hawks, who at this point, remember they were down by 19 the last time they played it here. And they're getting blown out to this point. This is Mr. Rose. NCAA March Madness continues Thursday with the Sweet 16, starting with Connecticut versus San Diego State on CBS and BYU versus Florida on TBS.
You know, I want to commend all of our people from our Turner organization, TNT crew, that wound up being part of that first round of NCAA tournament games and did a sensational job, a ton of preparation to get ready for that. First time for us being involved with it, and they really did a great job. We'll see here if Atlanta can get a couple defensive stops, try and gain a little bit of momentum as they go in at the half right now. I'm sure Tom Thibodeau wanting his team to execute, use some time, get good high percentage shots. Well, anytime Derrick Rose shoots it, it seems to go in, so that's a high percentage shot.
Second 3 for Rose. And as we mentioned, we have a lot of players in this game who have been in the NCAA championship and the Final Four. Joe Johnson over Deng. Korver the rebound. Horford and Noah both won back-to-back titles under Billy Donovan at Florida. Florida playing BYU on TBS on Thursday. Rose with another 3.
Look, while we're mentioning NCAA champions of the past, are we allowed to include coaches in there?
Yes.
Because Ed Pinckney, one of the assistants on the bench of Tom Thibodeau, was part of that Villanova squad that pulled perhaps one of the greatest upsets, if not the greatest ever, in collegiate basketball.
No question about it. Bulls up 67-41. They have 6 of 7 from three-point range. So they're getting it done every way you can find. Rose to Deng. It's a clinic right now here in Atlanta.
Dick, what you heard was when they threw the ball to Rose at the top of the circle, the people in the arena started cheering for him to do something. They wanted to see him put a move on, and they eventually got it.
You know, the crowd was yelling when Watson made that amazing lay-in a little while ago. The crowd looked enthused over that lay-in that you pointed out, spinning around on the reverse layup.
Well, you usually don't see, you see the stars do it, but you don't see the reserve to the star come in and do that. But he did it.
Boozer committing the personal foul. This is the second quarter story tonight. Chicago 16 of 19 from the field here in the second quarter alone. 28-point lead, and Korver committing the foul on Williams. Want to remind you, coming up, it's the T-Mobile halftime report with Matt Weiner, Chris Webber, and Brent Barry live from the TNT studios here in Atlanta.
Look, when you look up at the scoreboard, you see 69 points on the board right now for Chicago. It's not like these guys go out every night and score 110, 115 points. They're 20th in the league in scoring, just over 98 points per game, which is good. But 20th is 20th. Here you're talking about 69 with 35 seconds remaining in the first half.
And Czar last night, they scored 132 in the 40-point win over the Kings, which was their season's high. So they have a good opportunity, perhaps, of matching that total.
You're not trying to tell me that Sacramento is known as a defensive stopper team, are you?
Whatever they are, the Bulls got it done scoring-wise. Differential of about 11 seconds. And Korver has his shot deflected. Good play made by Horford. And now the Hawks can play for the last shot. What has been a stirring first half for the Bulls. And Horford will lose it out of bounds with 4.8.
That almost puts the perfect finish for Atlanta on that first half. Larry Drew's going to be so happy to go in at halftime and say, look, let's start over again when we come out to start the second half, because we didn't do a whole lot right in the first half.
Final seconds, and Heinrich with a foul to give. Fouls Rose. And you know, you talk about back-to-back games in which the Bulls are playing. In this one, after being at home against the Kings, but they had such a big lead that they were able to rest their starters in the fourth quarter. I mentioned Derrick Rose playing only 28 minutes, fewest minutes he's played this year.
That's why when you have a deep team and you're up, you want those subs to play well so you can rest the big guys.
Here's Rose for three. Derrick Rose with another three-point field goal ends the half.
Heinrich's got to get up on him. You know the clock is running down, so you want to make him put it down. One more dribble, take it, and hope for a rotation from behind. He's had a hot hand the whole first half. Make him do something a little bit different. Don't make him comfortable.
A 29-point halftime lead. The Bulls over the Hawks, 72-43. On TNT is presented by the United States Marine Corps, and the Bulls establishing their biggest halftime lead of the year at the end of this half, 72-43, as we start the second half of this game. And it has been really a clinic put on by the Chicago Bulls. Complete
domination from the Bulls, and I don't know whether it's really bad defense from Atlanta or the fact that Chicago is just shooting the ball incredibly well from the floor. It's not just layups on the inside. I'm talking about the three-point line as well with a 7 of 9.
And how about the point you just made is that the Bulls #1 in field goal defense, yet the Hawks are shooting 50%.
Yeah, the Hawks shooting 50%. Most teams are shooting 42% against Chicago's defense. Well, Atlanta shoots 50, but only scores 43 points because they didn't get any points the other way. Not like steals, only 2 turnovers forced. Chicago with 2 turnovers. If you force turnovers, you usually have steals and easy scores in transition.
And you can see how solid the team is. 19 assists, only 2 turnovers. A huge ratio that way as we get set to start the third quarter here in Atlanta. Carlos Boozer, Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose, along with Keith Bogans and Luol Deng. It's Smith, Horford, Williams, Johnson, and Heinrich for the red-shirted Atlanta Hawks. Derrick Rose with 20 points and 7 assists in the first half. How about the Bulls lately? What they've done against the Hawks. Noah drives in on a spread offense, gets the lay-in.
Pick up right where they left off, and I'm thinking about what would I be saying to myself if I'm Kirk Heinrich coming out for the second half? You feel like a man on an island by yourself having to guard Derrick Rose for another half.
Shooting over Noah and missing is Josh Smith. So the lead is 31. And remember, the Hawks were trailing by 19 and they came back and won when they played here. But now it's 31. Nearly a minute gone by. Third quarter. Noah. Boozer. And a 3-second violation called against the Bulls.
And Boozer knew it right away. Their spacing got distorted. You had Noah in the paint, Boozer in the paint. Boozer realized the clock, the mental clock of 3 seconds was running. The officials were about ready to call it. He tried to get rid of it, but couldn't get out of there.
Rose with 20, Deng. Rose with 20, and Deng also with 20 points in the first half. Here's Heinrich, who missed the open jumper. 3 players in double figures for the Hawks, led by Josh Smith with 12. Horford and Joe Johnson each with 10. Boozer over Horford. A loose ball foul called against Noah. That'll be his second, and Tom Thibodeau doesn't quite understand it.
Well, you have to keep a body on Noah. He's relentless. Kind of like Verajao was in Cleveland, where you constantly have to have a body on him. They're always working to come up with a second shot opportunity.
Joe Johnson, Bogan's doing a good job on him. And Josh Smith. Rose, defended by Joe Johnson, setting a screen. Noah, great screen set by Joakim Noah out at the top, allowing Rose to lay it in. Rose now with 22.
We've seen people weave through defenses, but Derrick Rose weaves through them in the interior, in the paint, and still is able to finish.
Williams getting some on the baseline, scores the first points for the Hawks here in the second half. This is a team to be reckoned with, no question about that. And they're going to call the holding foul against Marvin Williams as we check in with Cheryl.
Well, guys, I spoke to 2 of the assistant Hawks coaches, Tyrone Hill and Nick Van Axel, tough competitors back in their playing days. And I said, what do you say to the guys? He said, we tried to tell them to stay positive. It's only going to take mental toughness to get back in this game. But, Zon, let me ask you a question. This is a team that's been together, the core 5 years, very talented. Have you ever seen a more fragile team? And what do you do if you're Coach Drew?
No, Joe, it's a good question that you ask because you're dealing with personalities, you're dealing with egos, you're dealing with mental toughness right now, and that's something that's part of the character of the player. Remember, there were no major significant additions. The Bulls, you can look at their roster, 7 different players on the roster. Josh Smith misses a long jump. That's his 3rd missed jump shot as Bogans throws it away. There were not major significant additions to this team in the offseason, but front office management had constraints on them. Financially, they were not able to go out and spend the kind of money that Miami was able to spend. Remember, this team is a team that's up for sale. It's a team that could be sold very shortly. They wanted to keep the monies under control to make it an attractive franchise for somebody to buy.
They've had their problems offensively. Defensively, a lot better than you would think. Here is Joe Johnson going in, and a reach-in foul is called. Yet this team, and you're absolutely right in your characteristic of them, and this is the way they've been over the years, still 40-30 at this point. Not going to get to what they did last year. And the foul is against Bogans. TBS weeknights. Experts recommend that you Conan 4 out of 5 nights a week. New episodes of Conan weeknights at 11, 10 Central, only on TBS.
See what happened. This team started out, and they were a very bad franchise 4 or 5 seasons back. Mike Woodson was coaching, and little by little he brought respectability back to the team. Then they started to win. Then the year after that they won more, made the playoffs. Then they lost in the first round of the playoffs, and they come back and win the first round of the playoffs. They win 53 games. It was a regular building process both in the regular season and the playoffs. But then management felt change had to happen. What happens is they bring in Larry Drew. Look, Larry's a terrific coach. He's been around a long time. But they tried to implement a new offense, tried to change the tempo of the game, and that was because of complaints that were taking place that they were too stagnant, too isolated under Mike Woodson. There you see Boozer backing down, using that big body. Pretty good acting job that time by Smith. Boozer sees the clock. Now, I know he didn't hit him that hard.
No. Liston Clay, second fight Lewiston made. Horford with the jumper. Horford now with 12.
So Larry Drew takes over a very difficult coaching position. 53 wins a year ago. You come back and don't add, like some teams add a LeBron James and a Chris Bosh and that type of thing. They had very minor additions in the offseason.
Derrick Rose with another 3. That is his 5th of the game. And you're looking at a team that has been brilliant from 3-point range in this game. 8 of 10 from downtown for the Bulls. Noah staying with Horford, former college teammate. BYU, Florida, Thursday on TBS. The Sweet 16 is coming. What an exciting time of the year. And a lot of the players on this court. Of course, Derrick Rose was with Memphis. Boozer won a championship with Duke. Luol Deng played for Duke in a Final Four. Here is Boozer shooting over Horford, in and out. Even Keith Bogans, who was with Kentucky when they reached the Elite Eight in 2003. And we'll have a Chicago foul. Well, the NCAA champions in tonight's game, and of course you mentioned Ed Pinckney of Villanova, maybe one of the most dramatic victories of all, Villanova over Georgetown, and Bob Bender, who played under Bob Knight at Indiana in '76. Jeff Teague is into the game for the first time. He had been a pretty good contributor for the Hawks defensively, giving way to Crawford in recent games. Here's Josh Smith and another Chicago foul. So Jeff Teague, who has played superb defense and had 7 starts this season, and 3 of 5 lately, before Larry Drew said, I got to get Jamal Crawford, who has been an outstanding 6th man going for the playoffs, and that's why he said he was going to shorten the rotation tonight.
Yeah, and there were times over the last few games, the Hawks, in the last 10 games, they were 4-6 coming into tonight's game, and there were times where Larry Drew felt that they needed more size in the backcourt, so he was reluctant to play Teague in that spot. He's not a real big guard. He's not an overly physical guard. He is fast, brings speed and quickness. He can defend the basketball. But because of some size matchup problems, Larry Drew went with the bigger backcourt.
Teague was Atlanta's #1 pick, the 19th overall in 09. 1 out of 2 from the line. That last foul was on Boozer, his third. That's not a big factor right now. Personal fouls for Chicago. 6 on the shot clock. Deng. Short with the jumper. But there's Noah. Feeding Deng. He's got it. Great interior passing by the Bulls. And Deng now with 22. 3 behind Rose, who leads with 25. Domination in the paint by Chicago, leading 81-49 halfway through this third quarter. Teague leaves it for Horford, who hits.
See, Horford didn't roll to the basket. By stopping where he did, the next man on the rotation from Chicago's defense couldn't get to him in time. So then it's a matter of executions there. Can you make an open shot, which he did.
Horford 6 of 7 tonight from the field. Here's Rose splitting the defense, leaving nothing on the 3, and a loose ball foul called against the Hawks inside. We'll take a timeout. Chicago leading by 3-0 with 5:40 remaining in the third.
This is Kobe Bryant. The NBA family's thoughts are with the people of Japan and survivors of the earthquake and Pacific tsunami. Please join us by making a gift to the American Red Cross disaster relief efforts and provide help and hope to those affected. Visit redcross.org or text Red Cross to 90999 to give $10. Thank you.
And welcome back to Phillips Arena. Derrick Rose and the Chicago Bulls with a huge lead. 30 points over the Atlanta Hawks. Nick Stockton along with the Czar, Mike Fratello, and Cheryl Miller. Here's Rose. And let's see if they call the foul. And it's a deflection. Deflection ball.
I think they called the block on that jump shot. Looked like it might have been a foul, but then the official gave it the old brush, and they'll call it out off Atlanta.
And it would have been a 3-shot foul because Rose was behind the arc. So Deng will inbound. It's been the Deng and Rose show offensively, but great passing all the way around by the Bulls, including Noah, who's going to take it himself. Misses the hook, and it just rolls out to Deng. New clock. Boozer. Good defense inside by Horford, knocked out of bounds. And it's last touched. Last touched by the Hawks. So Rose will inbound now. 16 on the clock. Deng. Horford, the basket counts, and it's an and one.
He has gotten better and better. Luol Deng, whole key, you said it in the beginning of the game, Dick, is the fact that Deng is healthy this season. He's remained healthy throughout the season, and there's an athlete that'll tell you that when they're healthy, they can perform up to the standard you expect. When they're not healthy, it throws everything off.
And he ranks 4th in the NBA with minutes per game, so he has been an Iron Man out there at over 39 minutes in the season. And Deng adding the 3-point threat to his arsenal this year. He has 100 of them this year, only 101 in his previous 6 years in the league. And a near steal by Boozer, and Teague sees it roll off. 84-51. It's been all Chicago, and impressively and decisively here on the road. Here is Rose stepping back. Josh Smith has it. Heinrich has to battle Noah for the loose ball, and they're going to call the jump ball. Kirk Heinrich, who is the all-time 3-point field goal leader for the Chicago Bulls. Played 7 years with Chicago. And of course, he reached the Final Four twice in a row for the University of Kansas in 2002 and 2003.
You know what you have to feel good about him is Bogans gets the tip, immediately goes down the three-point line and knocks down the three. For Heinrich, you feel good the fact that they moved him out of Washington. Washington is in a total rebuilding mode. Heinrich being there, at least now he's with the playoff team. He's got an opportunity to do some damage and play at the most exciting part of the season, which is the playoffs in the NBA. So that was great for him that he was able to wind up in Atlanta.
And a kick ball. Jamal Crawford will check back into the game. He is the second leading scorer in the league off the bench, but he has fallen on hard times as of late. And if the Hawks are going to challenge Orlando, if that's going to be the matchup in that first round, the sixth man of the year contender, they're going to need Crawford.
Well, he was the NBA sixth man of the year in 2010. And he's not, as we see the Joe Johnson hit that little baseline jump, but he has not had the same type of season this season that he did a year ago. And part of it, as Cheryl mentioned early on, the fact that his contract was not extended before this season, and understanding that the collective bargaining agreement is coming up, the numbers could change for NBA players in the next agreement. But Jamal Crawford felt that he should have been rewarded for what he's done for this team and should have gotten an extension before the new CBA.
Rose trying to keep it alive and does. Rose is fouled. So Rose, not being able to convert the layup, fights for the loose ball and does, and will go to the line. And that will be number 4 against Crawford. And Derrick Rose will go to the free throw line. He has scored 25 points and 5 threes. Well, again, here's a look at the upcoming national TV schedule. Tomorrow, a doubleheader on ESPN begins at 7:30 p.m. NBA TV takes over Friday with a game at 9:30. And don't forget, time is running out. Go to the NBA.com/fan-night and vote now for the matchup you want to see on Tuesday, March 29th. Voting ends tonight at midnight Eastern. And Sunday on ABC, coverage will begin at 12:30. It'll be the Suns at the Spurs and the Nuggets at the Lakers.
Our studio guys picked up on the fact that the crowd is chanting MVP when Derrick Rose goes to the line, and that's not a good sign, they said, come playoff time.
Well, we have seen so many instances, even in the first half, when the game wasn't a 30-plus contest, where the fans have really cheered some of the plays that the Bulls have made here. Here's Horford, guarded by Noah. 8 on the shot clock, nearly 3 minutes to go in the third. Teague, nowhere to go, finds Jamal Crawford, and he hits.
I think I had a couple other thoughts on, you mentioned sixth man of the year besides Crawford being a candidate. Jason Terry has had a terrific year for Dallas. Has started a lot of games, but has come off the bench. Lou Williams in Philadelphia has had a terrific season for Doug Collins and his group. Noah now turning himself into a jump shooter from the perimeter. Another name, Gortat with Phoenix after the trade from Orlando. He's done a terrific job off the bench there. And how about Big Baby Davis in Boston with the front line all banged up this season. The big guys missing so many games. He's really come through since his return.
Gortat, of course, will be in action in the second half of our TNT doubleheader when the Suns face the Lakers. Kevin Harlan and Kevin McHale will have that for you following our game here. As we approach 2 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Deflected ball taken down, and Noah fouls Josh Smith. And we'll have a timeout, 91-55, as the Bulls threaten to get to 100 points before the end of this third quarter. By 36, and there's Derrick Rose, who's, as you know, a leading candidate for this year's MVP race, and if he wins, he'll be the youngest NBA MVP in history. Wes Unseld is the youngest when he won it in '69 as a rookie with the Bullets at 23 plus. St. Louis Hawks' Bob Pettit won it in '56, and then Wilt Chamberlain was 23 years and 200 days and 60 with the Philadelphia Warriors, also a rookie. And Derrick Rose will be 22 years and 191 days and counting if he wins it. So that would be quite an honor. And there you see Rose with the highest percentage of teams' offensive points scored, ranks among the top 5.
Well, I had a bunch of those names on my list. I don't see Dirk Nowitzki's face up there. I think he should be a candidate for MVP consideration this year. LeBron, obviously. Dwight Howard. He's done a pretty good job down in Orlando this year. But the guy who's playing in front of us tonight, he's the leader.
One free throw for Josh Smith. Under 2 minutes to go in the third. Here's Luol Deng, who was hot in the first half. The offensive rebound from Taj Gibson, and there's another three by Derrick Rose. That's 6 3-pointers for Rose tonight. Remember last night, the Bulls won by 40 points. And they're just about there now. And the 6 3-pointers are a career high for Derrick Rose, who comes out with it again. What a show he has put on tonight. But his teammates with great passing. This has been a tremendous performance by the Bulls in almost every aspect. Here's Rose again for 3 and doesn't come up with number 7. Teague, and he hits the line drive 3-pointer. And it's got to be tough for the Atlanta Hawks, who have not shown much life here. Once they were behind by a lot of points in over 20.
Dick, you know what Tom Thibodeau would like to have happen is you finish out this quarter on a good note. You start the fourth quarter, you bring your reserves in, and you would hope that they play well enough that you don't have to bring your starters back in the fourth quarter.
And that was the case last night in the rout. Damian Wilkins is back in, and Hilton Armstrong, seeing his first action, has come in. Armstrong joined the Hawks along with Kurt Heinrich in that trade with the Wizards. There he is. He is in his 4th year from the University of Connecticut. One of 2 teams from the Big East. It started with 11 to get to the Sweet 16. A surprise that only UConn and Marquette have gotten to the Sweet 16 from the Big East.
Yeah, I've got a couple phone calls from the Big East coaches. They want Charles to lighten up a little bit on the Big East. They said Charles has been tough on the Big East. That guy's a pretty good player at one time.
Yes.
I think he wants Dr. J, Julius Irving.
Yeah, one of the all-time greats. And right now, let's send it to our Atlanta studios and Matt Weiner. And discussion with the officials, and I want to ask you, Mike, the Lakers 7 games behind the San Antonio Spurs, who now have Tim Duncan out with an ankle sprain that could mean a couple of weeks.
Well, let's just hope that it's not that serious of an injury that he's going to be out for a long extended period of time. If he misses 3 or 4 games, that's one thing, but San Antonio's had such an incredible run this season. They've remained relatively healthy and certainly have played outstanding basketball, best record in the NBA. You would hope that Duncan is not missing too much time for them.
Shot clock adjustment, you can see they had a problem with it. And Tony Parker today said, look, we can go without Tim Duncan for the rest of the regular season, but we need him in the playoffs. And that's another thing, the war of attrition, the injuries that teams have. You know, when you get to the end of the playoffs, when you get to the middle of April.
You know, when we just went to Matt in the studio, he got me nervous for a second when he said Steve Nash, 37 years old, creeping up on Rajon Rondo. And I was going, God, how old is Rondo? But he wasn't talking about age, talking about assists.
They called a foul on Kurt Thomas, and they're going to reset the shot clock. And right now, Scott Foster explaining to Tom Thibodeau, who isn't buying it. Zaza Pachulia misses the first free throw.
Tom Thibodeau, he's up 96-59. And he's fighting for that one right there. He wants that call.
And you know what? That may be why the Bulls are where they are. In fact, talking to him before the game, we asked him about that #1 seed. He said, we're not looking ahead. We're not looking at that kind of goal. We just want to go into each game and do well game by game.
He said, look, you'd be silly not to say that you want every advantage you could possibly get when you get to the playoffs. If home court is one of them, you want to get that.
And it would be huge for the Bulls at 31-4 at home to be playing Indiana, Milwaukee, or Charlotte instead of having to go against the Knicks or Philadelphia. Thomas hitting, of course, the Celtics, who have 6 home games and 7 on the road, but they have to play road games against the Bulls and the Heat. So it'll be very interesting in the final dozen games of the regular season as we have completed the 3rd quarter here at Phillips Arena with the Bulls 38 points ahead of the Atlanta Hawks. The NBA on TNT is presented by the United States Marine Corps. We start the 4th quarter and the Bulls leading 98-60. They won last night by 40, leading by 38. And the club record for largest margin of victory in 2 games was 70 in back-to-back games back in 1995. And Ronnie Brewer picking up the early foul, and Derrick Rose with 30 points, 10 assists, 1 turnover, and a career-high 6 threes. Going to sit this rest of this out. Wilkins misses the layup. C.J. Watson at the point.
There you actually saw a little bit of that movement offense that Larry Drew has been trying to incorporate from the beginning of the season. Gibson with the two-handed dunk and the foul on the play.
And the two-handed hang as well. And we'll go to the line for an and one. So Damian Wilkins. The foul is on Wilkins, his second.
It's too easy on the inside right now. It's been too easy all night for Chicago versus the interior defense of Atlanta.
Deng will go out of the game, and Kyle Korver will replace him. Deng with 27 points on 10 for 15 shooting tonight. Second to Derrick Rose's 30. Those are the only 2 Bulls in double figures tonight. Gibson. And it's a 41-point lead, 101-60 in favor of Chicago. And Gibson, by the way, who started 70 games as a rookie last year, and he's on the bench now because of the depth here. Korver defending Wilkins, double team with a sheet. Teague with a nice runner. Bulls and the Celtics at 50-19, leading the East. Celtics have 6 home games, 7 road games. Miami 2.5 behind the leaders. They'll have 5 home and 7 on the road the rest of the way. And the Atlanta Hawks look like they're a fixture for number 5. And Orlando, unless there's something dramatic, would be number 4. There they go. This is the Eastern Conference lineup right now, as Korver misses from outside, and we'll have a Hawk foul. Big battle between these number 6 Sixers and the number 7 New York Knicks.
You know, Philadelphia has just done an excellent job of being consistently good night in and night out. Once Doug Collins got past the first 20 games of the regular season, got his defense in there, got them thinking the same way that he wanted to think. He got his rotations down. He knew who was going to contribute off the bench. Night in and night out, Philadelphia has been very good.
Sprite is bringing new life to basketball courts with Sprite Spark Parks. Visit Sprite.com to participate. In a 41-point lead, and we'll have a Bulls foul, and it will be against Ashik. Looking at the finishing schedule for both the 76ers and the Knicks, Philadelphia has 8 home games and only 4 road games, but 3 of their 4 road games are against Miami, Chicago, and Boston. That'll be a pretty good test for them. The Knicks have 2 more home than on the road.
Wilkins loses it on the drive to the basket. You know, unfortunately, Dick, everybody has to play those same teams. So, you know, I almost cried that time when you said it, but you're not getting it out of me tonight.
Well, okay, but if you ask Doug Collins about having to play those 3, he says, look, I'm happy I only have 4 road games, but I wish they were against other teams than the 3 best in the East. Korver with the jumper. He has 9 points in the game. But this is the fun of the, and I'm sure you join in the fun of the final 12 games of the season to see who teams play. Here's the turnover. Korver in the middle to Gibson, who lays it in.
Well, I think the big plus there is the fact that he does have those home games in. We see an offensive foul in transition. A little step-up back pick screen on Watson. Watson didn't see it coming. A little hard screen that time by Armstrong. The officials called in transition. But having 8 down the stretch is a big plus for Doug Collins. Yeah, he's got to play some pretty good teams there on the road. But you know what? It's better to have only 3 on the road than have 8 on the road.
Sixers off to the slow start. It really picked it up. A Sheik against Pachulia. And they're going to call Zaza with the foul.
You know, there are some major questions with injuries for a number of the teams. You know, you got a team like Denver now. Since the trade, they're 10-4 Denver, so they've been playing very well. Concern for Boston, are they going to get either one of the O'Neals back in time for the playoffs?
Ashik is on the line. Want to remind you, TNT this June, they're turning the courtroom upside down. This much fun should be illegal. Franklin and Bash series premiere this June, only on TNT. And Wilkins can't save it, out of bounds to Chicago. It's been a glove night for the Atlanta Hawks, who were really never in this game, as the Bulls open up the early big lead and are up by 45 as we speak. Still plenty of time left. But the reserves, again, seeing a lot of action. C.J. Watson throws it away. Should be an exciting week of basketball with the Sweet 16 coming up Thursday. And Friday with the regional semifinals. And then Saturday and Sunday with the regional finals to identify who will go to Houston in the Final Four. Teague, 2-point field goal.
Are your brackets still alive?
I didn't make any brackets out because I know how unpredictable it is.
Well, that's not in the spirit of what it's all about. You make them so that you can say, oh, my brackets are shocking.
Well,
I mean, the President of the United States filled out brackets.
The men's bracket.
Well, he also did the women's, actually.
Yeah. She gets fouled inside. You know, one school that I kind of favor went by the boards. I was a little let down, but I'm going to get my enthusiasm up for the Sweet 16.
Would that be Pittsburgh?
No, it would be another Big East team.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
The Orange.
Oh,
you knew that.
Yeah.
T-Web, if you really want to help, why don't you just make the 2-mile trip here? That would be nice if you have time.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you a question. You've seen Atlanta play a lot over the last couple seasons, and what's different about this Atlanta team than the past ones?
I'll tell you that prior to the victory against Detroit on Sunday, the Hawks had lost 6 of their previous 8 games, and the last 5 were by double figures. So they have, you know, been blown out by big margins. Not to the extent that it's happening tonight, but they have had some bad beatings this year.
No, they've had look, when you look at double-digit losses, 17 out of the 30 losses coming into tonight will by double digits or more. On the other hand, of Chicago's losses, which going into tonight's game, Chicago only had 19 losses. Only 4 of them were by double digits or more. So there's something about, as Brett just said, the spirit of a team and giving in rather than holding on and fighting to the end of a game.
Mike, let me ask you this. Is there such a thing, because we're seeing the beleaguered Hawks out here tonight, that when the second season starts, you say, okay, we turn the page, things didn't end up very well, and we start out? That has happened at times.
Yes, it has happened, but you also know that you play as you practice and you play as you gain experience playing a certain style during the course of the season. It's very unusual that a team which has developed bad habits and has lost by this many points so many times during the season would all of a sudden come playoff time, turn it around, dig down deep inside, and be able to do it.
Cheryl, you had a chance to talk to Josh Smith, is that right?
Yeah, you know what, it's a very telling conversation. At first it started with assistant coach Lester Connor, who said, you know what, Cheryl, we just have to do a better job of defending. And then that's when Josh Smith came over to me and said, you know what, Cheryl, it's not about defending. We don't help each other. How can you have trust issues this late in the season?
Well, there you go. That's building the habits that you believe in each other, you trust each other, you know somebody's got your back. It's not easy to leave your man and rotate to cover for somebody else if you don't think somebody's going to cover for you. That's where that lack of trust comes up, and that's what defense is all about, trusting one another.
How do you solve this problem this late in the year?
Oh, you work at it as a coach. You don't pack it in, certainly. You work at it. You go back to the very few days that you have left to practice and try and get those types of things ironed out. It's not going to be easy. There's not a lot of time left, but you have to start somewhere in building it.
Bulls lead 113-69. Josh Powell inside, and a near violation by Watson. They don't call the palm, and here is a sheet going in. Great point made by our guys in the studio that the Bulls are playing as if the game were still on the line, the way they're hustling and passing. That's Thibodeau, and it's going to serve this Chicago team well. We'll be right back. 44, and now it's time for the Marines teamwork play of the game.
Almost perfect execution by the Bulls. You send the shooter off a baseline screen. When two defenders step up to the shooter, he throws it right back to the guy that set the screen, who winds up with a high percentage shot. That's what you call teamwork. That's our teamwork play of the game.
And the Bulls have had plenty of the teamwork. They had 34 assists last night against the Kings, which was their season's high. They have 30 right now. And they were 12 of 16 from three-point range. They're 10 of 15. So this is kind of a carbon copy tonight from their win last night at home. And Omer Ashik, who had a career-high 14 last night against Sacramento, makes 1 out of 2 with just under 6 minutes remaining. There's the Bulls and how brilliant they've been in that department. 114-69 the score. And here is Teague hitting a 3. So Teague now with 3 3-pointers. Teague, the first-year player from Wake Forest.
He's looked very comfortable shooting the three-point shot. Doesn't really elevate on it. It's almost more like a push shot, but he certainly looks good shooting it.
Correction, second year for Teague, and Ashik feeding Gibson. And the rebound by Hilton Armstrong. Wilkins, Teague, Armstrong, Crawford, and Josh Powell for the Hawks. Deflection by Korver. Watson is out there with Gibson, Korver, Ashik, and Ronnie Brewer. That was Powell. Brewer guarding Crawford. Steal. Watson has a shot blocked by Teague. Good play by Teague. Steps back and goes for another 3 and hits it. Teague with his 4th three-pointer of the game. And he's getting some playing time, and he did earlier before Larry Drew decided he wanted to give Crawford time. So Teague with 18 points on 6 for 8 shooting and 15 in this 4th quarter alone. And an offensive foul called against the Bulls. Coming up next on TNT, it's game 2 of our special Tuesday night doubleheader. The Phoenix Suns traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Lakers at the Staples Center. Kevin Harlan, very busy man during these tournament games and the NBA, and Kevin McHale will be working that game.
Dick, you mentioned Josh Powell a few moments ago, and that's one of the 2 pieces that Atlanta added in the offseason. I had mentioned earlier that they didn't make big splashes, okay, when going after free agents or people to add to the roster. Powell was one of them. The other was Etan Thomas, okay, former Syracuse, okay, an Orangeman.
Thanks for the plug.
Makes you very proud, I understand that. But that's basically what they added to this team that won 53 games a year ago. So, you know, you look around at what other teams did in the Eastern Conference, what Boston added, what Chicago added, and it's quite what Miami added. It's a little bit different.
And Watson falls down and loses his balance and the ball, and Teague has his shot blocked by Kurt Thomas, who's in the game, and a foul is called, and it'll be against Thomas.
And then Orlando goes out and makes the blockbuster deal, right, shortly before trade deadline. So those teams that were up there in the top 4 or 5 teams, you know, playoff teams a year ago, they made big moves with a lot of bodies moving around, and the same didn't happen here. And I mentioned there was a concern about monies, what could be spent and what couldn't be spent, and going after people or doing a deal.
Hard to stand pat in this league if you want to really contend.
Yeah, but when you get orders from up above, ownership says, you know, we're not doing it because we have reasons for it. It's not done.
Approaching 3 minutes remaining in the game. Steal by Wilkins. Good play from behind against the Sheik. And Wilkins will throw it away. Little confusion out there by the Hawks. And we'll take a timeout. Long night for Larry Drew and company. That's an understatement. We'll be back. All right, Matt, thank you very much. And 2:45 remaining in this game. And the Chicago Bulls will take a 1/2 game lead in their race with the Celtics for #1 in the East. Jeff Teague has scored all of his team's points here in this fourth quarter. 17 to be exact. Here's Teague, nowhere to go with it. Ball knocked away and taken away by Kurt Thomas. Watson. And a three-point shot is missed by Rasul Butler, who makes his entrance in the final minutes of the game, under 2 to play. So Rasul Butler, who signed by the Bulls in early March after playing in 41 games for the Clippers, who released him. Watson with a fall away and short with it. Teague coming back down. A second straight blowout for the Chicago Bulls on consecutive nights. Last night it was the Kings. They won by 40. In this one they bled by as much as 47. And leading here 114 to 77.
You know, Dick, to show you the difference between a team that's in the hunt, thinks they might have a chance to win the whole thing. Chicago picks up 3 players. This one right here is one of them. Rasul Butler, who can really shoot the basketball. They pick him up right at the beginning of March, add him to the roster. And then most recently, they bring back John Lucas III, who had been with them in training camp, and Gennaro Pargo, who was with them a couple seasons back. Shooters, both of them, 3-point range shooters to help this team. So here's a team that's adding 3 pieces, you know, late in the season.
And they're great in the locker room as well. And that's what they do here. We want to remind you the NCAA March Madness will continue Thursday with the Sweet 16, starting with Connecticut against San Diego State. That'll be on CBS, and BYU against second-seeded Florida on TBS. The later games will have Duke, the #1 seed, against Arizona. That'll be on CBS. Wisconsin versus Butler. Remember Butler? Final 4 team. Got to the title game last year before losing to Duke. That'll be on TBS. And coverage starts with the Infinity NCAA tip-off show on True TV at 6 p.m. And it was great to see a lot of the first round games, second and third this past weekend on True TV, as 4 networks bringing you every game in its entirety in the NCAA tournament. And it's been tremendously received by the viewers. And the rebound by Armstrong.
I thought it was great, particularly if you went into a place that had, you know, 3 or 4 TVs up, and no matter where you look, you catch in a different set of games. It just made it for an exciting weekend.
And here is Wilkins with a fake and a block by Brewer. In the waning seconds of this game, want to thank our producer Glenn Diamond, our director Maceo Grant, our associate director Darryl Bernardo, graphic coordinator Steve Timlin and Ron Mojica, and our statistician Marty Aronoff, and our production and technical crew. Steal by Armstrong, putting up the shot and hitting the 3. And that will do it as the Bulls go to 51-19. They've won 10 out of 11. And the Hawks drop to 40-31. They have lost 7 out of 10. Rose with 30 points and 10 assists. Deng had 27, Teague 20, leading the Hawks. So that's the story here in Atlanta. Big win for the Chicago Bulls. And coming up next, it's the Suns against the Lakers. And right now, we're going to Matt, C-Webb, and Brent in our studio.